Hello, and welcome to Stretching the Word. I'm your host, Sister Valerie, and not today, devil, just not this year. You need to confess. Confess, girl, I ain't no criminal. What you talking about? Confess. I don't know what you talking about. I ain't got nothing to confess. Okay, all right then. So it says, admit or acknowledge something reluctantly. See, when we go with the we don't have nothing to confess, that's reluctantly, okay? Typically, because one feels slightly ashamed or embarrassed. You know, we think only criminals have something to confess, but we all have something that we have done or something that's taken hold of us or something that we've put ourselves into that we can confess, even reluctantly. Don't nobody want to out now admit that, okay, I'm a hoarder. I mean, it don't have to be I murdered somebody, but we all have something that we can admit to, whether we want to admit to it or not. We all have something, as they say, in our closet that we are reluctant to share with somebody or that we are reluctant to admit to, you know. Nobody wants to admit, girl, I sit up and I eat 2 pounds of cookies in the bed every night. I don't want to admit to it, but I confess. Nobody wants to admit, I don't know what overcame me, but I found myself, you know, uh, looking at that cigarette packer. I found myself, going in the store wanting to buy some cigarettes. I found myself, I just bought one scratch off ticket. Uh, I found myself, but we can always point the finger and see what somebody else needs to confess about. But yeah, they all admit, they just all admit that they're overweight. They all admit that they're a shopaholic. They all admit that they got a lust spirit. Well, when are we going to confess? What's wrong with us? Right, that's what I thought. So let's go to James, the 5th chapter, and the 16th verse. And the Bible says, confess your faults. See, while you, and he, and he, and they, and they, and we, confess your faults one to another. Now, that don't mean just tell your business to any and everybody, because we know any and everybody cannot keep a secret. So don't be foolish, don't be stupid, don't be naive, because some people just want to know something about you so they can slander your name. So use wisdom, lead another Lord, confess your faults one to another. It says, and pray one for another. So now, if you know that this person cannot get a prayer through, ain't no sense in you telling them what your problem is, because they can't help you because they cannot get a prayer through. And pray one for another that ye may be healed. See, that's the whole point in telling somebody what's going on with you, because you want to be healed. You want to get rid of this thing. Regardless of how it may be, you want to get rid of it because you tired of it hanging on. You just tired of it. I'm just tired of not being able to have no willpower over them cookies. Okay, well, if I confess this to somebody, they can pray with me, they can pray for me, we can talk about this. They might, when you talk about stuff, you dig a little deeper and you come up with maybe why the reason is, you know. Well, why am I eating all these cookies? See, I can talk about me. Why am I eating all these cookies? Because I'm bored. I need to go to sleep, you know. And I just like sweets. So I confess this. We get to talking about things and I'm confessing. So the person, now I got somebody that I can tell, they can pray, and the end result is I can get healed. That's the most important thing, is that we want to be healed, but we can't be healed because we don't have nothing to confess. We don't have nothing to admit to. Why? Because we don't want to be ashamed. We don't want to feel embarrassed. But yet, we'll just let the devil bring all kinds of condemnation upon us when we don't even have to be under that burden for real. Remember, confession is not just for criminals, but it's for everyone because we all have something to admit to.